This is a brief demonstration video of the Meccanica Italiana motion picture camera crane. Here we can see the Meccanica crane already assembled. Pictured here you can see the large disc indicator that can show an operator how to elevate and de-elevate with precision movement using preset markers. Now the Mitchell to Boss offset is being mounted on the platform. Without the use of a C-wrench, it can be hand tightened, and then the offset is pressed into a tight position. Then any Mitchell mount type head can be mounted. Remember to line the key on the head with the keyway on the mount before securing a Mitchell mount type head. Safety is, of course, always of extreme importance when operating a crane. Riders should always be belted in, and the belt should be tight and secure. The crane operator or the crane safety operator should make sure that the rider's seat belts are fastened securely and tight before any weight is loaded into the crane's bucket. The Meccanica crane is small enough that it can be loaded without a stepladder. However, it is still advisable to use a ladder so that the person loading the bucket has no undue strain from lifting weights over their head. Weights load 4 across and fit snugly into the bucket. Weights should be loaded handle side out. No person should try to carry more than 2 weights at a time, 1 weight per hand. As weights continue to be loaded, the operator should periodically test for proximity of balance. The balance of the crane should be fine-tuned with a slider weight on the stabilizer arm. Before actually flying the crane, the operator should call out that they're going to fly the crane. Be sure that everyone in the immediate area knows that the crane is about to be lifted and that the areas in front of, beside, and behind the crane are free from inattentive personnel. There is potentially as much danger to people on the ground as there are to the riders of the crane. Also be sure that the area is clear from obstacles on the set, as in overhead lighting, C-stands, flags, set fixtures, or other encumbrances that the riders of the crane boom, the crane bucket, or the crane operator may accidentally bump into. Just as when the person loading the bucket has to call out the number of weights being placed into the bucket, when the crane is being unloaded and the weights are being taken out of the bucket, the person has to call out the number of weights left in the bucket after each weight is removed. This procedure gives everyone on a busy set the status of the crane, and gives the status of the availability of the camera operators and the dolly grips for other tasks on the set.
Push it to the side. That's right.
The offset mount is loosened by either using a C-wrench or by twisting it counterclockwise so that the bolt can be finger loosened. The mount should then be pulled straight up to avoid binding.
Is this unscrew all the way?
Make sure it's balanced when it comes straight up.
Just you gotta keep going straight up. Yeah, there you go. So you ready to take the seats off?
Put them all the way in.
Yeah.
The seats are removed by unscrewing, counterclockwise, the bolts that secure them to each of the seat's swinging arms. Immediately upon removing the seats, the bolts that secure the seats should be replaced.
And the reason is
The seat's swinging arms should be stowed by pointing them towards the tongue end or towards the boom end of the platform and secured with the set turn screw. The deck plates are held fast by a plunger type catch. Once the plunger is pulled straight down underneath each of the deck plates, the plates can pull straight out from the platform mount. The platform is held to the boom with a dovetail wedge-type joint. This joint is held securely in place by a small pin. The pin must first be removed before the wedge joint can be released. A similar dovetail wedge holds the bucket in place, and it likewise has a pin which must also first be released before the bucket can be removed from the boom. If either of these joints should stick when disassembling the crane, a hammer may be used to lightly tap on the top of the dovetail to release the friction bond. Before the boom is removed, it must be leveled to the ground, and the friction lock at the pivot point of the boom should be set securely as possible. The slider weight should be extended out towards the end of the boom to create as close to a balance as possible. After these steps are completed, 4 strong people should grab onto each of the handles of the main boom. Once all of these steps have been completed, the 4 bolts can be loosened to remove the boom from the center post.
And this is the awkward part because it's really a strange spot.
Making sure that the bolts are completely loosened and in the fully out position, then the boom can be lifted straight up to the side and away from the post. Even though the mounting plate where the boom will rest on the ground is made of extremely hardened steel, care should still be taken when resting it on the ground, so as not to damage any of the contact points of the boom. At this point, the boom can either be stowed on blocks supporting both ends of the boom, or the boom can be carefully released so that the heavy end rests on the ground by loosening the brake, and then after it rests on the ground, resetting the brake so it balances evenly. Finally, the pedestal's deck plates may be removed.
Depending on what you're on. But hard concrete surface like that, that's hardened steel. It's really
The posts securing bolts may be loosened, and the post may be removed.
you can see the receiving points. It's really hard to damage that steel.
You good? Derek,
I think it's really a great piece for kids who are not using stuff.
you want to undo the wheels? Like,
Yeah.
To remove the wheels, the set screw on each wheel must be loosened counterclockwise.
Wheels must come off easily. Oh, wait, before we go, I just want to show you guys how it does roll right now. If you feel it is not real smooth. Not by my standards.
no.
Now, of course, go ahead and lift.
One person should stand at either end of the pedestal. Lifting the pedestal up only an inch or so, each of the wheels may be removed. Often, because of the friction joint holding the wheels in place, a hammer tap may be required to release the wheels from their mounting posts.
Very lightly.
So one of those fixed.
The wheels are then stowed in a crate, and all the parts of the crane are stowed together.
Far end. And it'll fit right, just like that. And then the rest of it, you just have to monkey with it to get it to fit the best you can. It probably won't go in there. And then it says I just brought this.
Any further questions about the operation, the setup, or takedown, or storage of this crane can be directed towards Nathan Snyder at awaihisound.com.